Identity. 2024 is the first time that without any outside influence, I stopped and truly asked myself, who am I? And it taught me some interesting lessons. Pay attention. Sage's theory of identity. I believe two things about it. Number one, we decide who we ought to be, who we become. And number two, we were what was necessary to survive all throughout our lives, and perhaps deeper than physiologically, but in terms of self identification. In order for me to continue to understand myself as A, I must behave in B manner. I must continue to do C. In order to understand myself as a race car driver, I must continue racing cars. In order to understand myself as a healer, I must heal individuals. Otherwise, what's going on here and my reality are not matching. In the beginning of 2024, I'm an athlete, and therefore my sport is my life. I eat the dream, I sleep the dream, I dream the dream. However, people in my life don't have the same understanding of greatness's face that I do. She demands everything of you, and so I gave it all. In return, she started to give herself to me, and she was beautiful. I found peace in her violence, calm, quiet purpose. And then life slowed down as it was all unfolding, as my dreams were coming true. And I realized now, as opportunity had come to my door, the stage was set, but so was the cost. And it was from that moment that the competitive sports superstar had to give way to someone different, someone new. And it was scary not knowing who that would be and what it would mean. But I realized that the rugby dream would cost me. For the sports star to rise, large parts of who I am would have to fall. The real people seeking a lion, a leader, a speaker would have no one to call. I realized that if I lose myself, I lose it all. Rugby is not what I want. So what is? And who am I? My heart seeks to speak, to build, inspire. How can I do these things if I haven't lived? But what's living? Is it clubbing and banging chicks or planning trips or some sort of pleasure I haven't managed to factor in? I'm not speaking out of turn because my stats have been in. You see, I've been a different kind of storyteller, gambler, womanizer, a rude boy of the old school in particular. A past life, one that I do not regret, being it that I know what's there also means that I know what's not. I know that no matter how many girls you run through, you won't fill that love shaped hole in your heart. I know that the bottom of a bottle is always dry. I know what I don't want to be. So who am I? Or who do I want to be? Uh, as all great thinkers before me have done, as I have done once before, I empty the basket of my beliefs, and in essence, I reunite with my creator. I become nothing. And I know this can be received as depressing, but understand this. When you are nothing, you can become anything. And so, with that, the search began. It's not what you think or say, but what you do that determines who you are. Doing is being. It is the journey that shapes you and forms you. So, who do I want to be? Or, more accurately, what do I want to do? And sport wasn't it, not because of what I did, but because of what I didn't get to do: to write, to create, to read, to solve problems, the big problems that really matter to me, to learn, to lead. I ran to the simplicity of what I already knew, cowering away from the dream so big that I didn't even know where to start. And with that realization, I stopped running. And now that year has come to an end, and the one we're in is new. At very least, I learned it's not about who you think or say you are, but what you do. I've been Omoy. Thank you. This has been a summation of the journey of my own identity in the year 2024. For me, 2024 was the closing of a cycle. And it was a very deliberate choice for that cycle to close when it did, because the cost became too high for me to bear to continue to live the way that I lived. Not financially, but in terms of essence, in terms of cognitive dissonance, they call it. It's when who you are in here isn't matching what you're doing. And I've always thought of myself as a creator, as someone who can build, someone who is built to lead. And in a way, rugby did give me that. It did give me an opportunity to lead, to touch people's lives, to have an impact. But then the question that really made the final decision for me, if I'm being honest, is to what extent? To what extent am I really affecting people's lives? Whose lives am I affecting? Am I really having a unique impact on the world? Can I have a unique impact on the world? Am I providing all of the tools and the skills that God gave me? And the answer was no. But also with this, another element is who I was in terms of relationships, relationally. That also came to a bit of a full circle moment, a moment of just realization, you know. I feel like 2024 made me have to stare myself in the mirror, or my mind had matured to a place where I truly became self-critical and analytical, and was asking myself questions that I'd never asked before. For example, what are you doing here? Actually, what do you want out of this life thing? And how and in what way are you moving towards that now? In what ways are you every day doing exactly what you want to do? Because this life thing is finite. And if you were to go today, what would hurt you the most that you didn't express to the world? And for me, it was this: For me, it was speaking, um, sharing, giving. It was writing, reading. You know, I didn't want to leave this life never knowing certain things that were really important to me, and realizing that the sporting world, although like I said, I did love it, I did enjoy it, but it only satisfied one part of me, which is the athlete. I love that lifestyle of wanting to get faster, bigger, stronger. I still train to this day. But what it did not allow me to do, what it didn't give me time to do, is create. What it didn't give me time to do is, like I said, write, read, actually have the impact that I wanted to have on the people that I feel are suffering the most and the people that I feel that I have the tools to help if I worked on it. I'm not saying I'm there, but I'm saying, man, if you really focused and sharpened these skills, I feel like you could have a really, really big impact on the people who really need it the most. Identity. Identity. It's relationally understanding that when I was younger, that storyteller, gambler, womanizer, a rude boy, that kid was that way not because he was trying to be a bad person, but because that's what his understanding of a certain type of individual was. You know, that's what cool was. Hey, are you cool? I'm like, I think I'm cool. Well, this apparently this is what cool people do, dog. This is I try my best not to break any hearts or anything in the process. That was a very big part of the way that I handled things, etc. Because I was still me, and that's the scary thing, to be completely honest. When you try and change identity, is because your perception of certain things changes, and you behave accordingly to that, and doing is being. So as you do else, you become something else. However, you did do those things that you did, and so they are a part of you. And the scary thing about that is there are certain things, for example, and this is real life, this is unscripted, that I wrote. This is me just talking to you guys, and it's something that I'm going through in my mind right now, which is an interesting return to intimacy, you could call it, a return to the idea of intimacy. Because after I'd gone through all that, I did the typical thing, which is you just dive back into old habits. You just go back to the womanizing and whatever. But that just didn't sit well with me. It just really didn't. It felt lame, and it felt again like I was running from something. Like there was incompetencies that I was running away from, because that's what had led me to the comfort or the simplicity of what I already knew. Right? That's what led me to wanting to become a sportsman, because I'm like, well, I already have these skills, already know these things. Let me just do that. Let me just throw myself into it, and then boom, and obviously I'm gonna do well. Things are gonna look up. Conversations are gonna happen, and it's like, wow, I can do this professionally. Okay, cool. And then when that right there is staring at you in the face, and it's like, you can become this. It's like, do you want to? Do you really want to? Is what I asked myself, and the answer was no for me. Similar story romantically, where I'd gotten out of, and this is something that I'm consciously aware of and wanting to work on is not let's not say not think about, but not exist in a certain previous relationship that I had, which I had taken very seriously, and I never processed those emotions. I immediately went out of that and dove right back into, again, the simplicity, the comfort of what I know. It's like, hey, I know how to spin plates, bro. I know how to do this and get what I want and just, but that it just didn't work out for me. And obviously, you do the same old thing, you get the same old result. And our 2024 was a year in which I decided that I want to make new mistakes. I didn't know I was deciding that at the time, but now I kind of understand it as such, which is I was just tired of making the same old mistakes. And I just want to make new ones. I'm just interested in experiencing something else, becoming something else, and finding out exactly what I want to be, becoming it, and sticking to it. Is another very important one. Is another very important part of identity. For example, when it comes to loyalty, in order to continue to understand yourself as a loyal person, you must cut off all alternatives except for what it is that you are being loyal to. You know, the price of loyalty is novelty. You sacrifice novelty in order to be loyal. You sacrifice tasting different flavor. If I'm a strawberry guy, then all I eat is strawberry. But I'm sacrificing blueberry and rum and raisin, and do you see where I'm kind of going with that? And so it's realizing things like that, and realizing what flavor you want to pick and why, and making sure that it's something that's coming from yourself internally and that it's something you can stick to. Because for myself, at very least, I believe that the best games in life are the long games, are the long term games, are the games that don't have a quick feedback loop. Because ultimately that was the thing that really was getting to me and agitated me and just felt like a waste of my life force, with the spinning plates and the chasing tail and whatever. Is okay, I do that, I get the chick, I bang the girl, then what? No one cares, you know. And fine, I think I that's where I got to first. I was like, damn, I really don't care about what I'm doing. They can't care because they don't know about each other. Like no one cares. Like, and then I was like, okay, but if you get your notch count high enough, you can at least talk to the boys and be like, yo, boys. But at the same time, you can't even do that because then you just sound braggadocious. Like literally no one cares, bro. There's literally no point, and no one cares, you know. And for me, that was like, you know, it was like a haunting moment. I'm like, damn. So what's the point? Who's this for? That's what I would literally ask myself all the time. Who's this for? Because it's not for me. Because I'm literally using energy, resources, like all this stuff. I'm giving to this game for what? And then I decided, man, nah, I want something, you know, long term, fulfilling, etc. And so I do that. And the reason I wanted that is, again, my understanding of cool shifted. It wasn't cool to do that anymore because it was a waste of resources. And so I don't identify as someone who wastes their time. And so in order for me to continue to not be someone who wastes their time, or to be someone who doesn't waste their time, then I had to behave in a way. I will not blame my younger self who didn't know for making what future became the wrong decision, because at the time I was doing the best. I was doing the best that I could. And so time gets wasted, and I decide, no, do you know what? let's sort of look for something more fulfilling, right? Fulfillment is what I thought of it as at the time. Let's look for something more fulfilling. It was also what was in question is, can I be loyal? Can I even? Because when last, right? It's like, but I was in primary school for a couple of months. I'd never been in anything long term, so I said, nah, let me do that. Boom, I did it. Um, but it wasn't always that way. And when the truth came out, it just absolutely, utterly destroyed the person that I was with at the time. Absolutely could not handle that reality. Um, More especially the fact that I was able to do that and be that while at the same time being present and loving and like I was an incredible boyfriend, right? In like multiple ways, not just in terms of like providing, etc., but also in terms of just presence, the things that we worked on, mental, emotional, all that stuff. I'm there, but it was sort of pathological, I suppose, that I was at the same time able to behind her back be doing this, that, and the third. Um, Whereas for me at the time, I just completely separated my understanding of physical intimacy and intimacy in that sense. I just completely separated them and was just taking, yeah, I was just having my cake and eating it too, bro, for the longest time. In fact, I snitched on myself, bro. I got away with it too, but I grew conscious. Because like again, I'm not a liar. I'm not here to, like, I never told any of those girls that I love them, and I never told my partner that I wasn't doing. It was just assumed. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So in any case, the point with that is, it happened that at the end of that, I grow conscious and I say, okay, listen, if this is a woman that I'm going to marry, then and I was at that time saying to myself, I think of myself as an honest person. So in order myself to continue to understand myself as honest, I must tell the truth. If this is the person I'm going to marry, I'm going to want to tell them everything, because I literally told her everything besides that. And so I told her that. Terrible idea. Do not advise. um, yeah, break up, get back together, whatever. About 4 months after we actually break up, uh, log into the profile. She's already dating someone else. They're already in like a serious type relationship, already been intimate, all that stuff. Shocking. And after that, it becomes a thing of me not understanding who I thought she was, or her not being who, it's the same kind of thing that she probably experienced, where when she found out what I had done, was like, it's just jarring, because I thought you were like someone, and you turned out to be someone else, or someone completely different, and it just doesn't make sense. And after that, again, dove back into that short reward cycle, where you find someone, you do a thing, and then boom, and I was like, why am I doing this again? This is not it. And so slowly stepped away from that. And then one of the people that I was doing that with, and that I was like enjoying their company a bit more, but at the same time, I'm discovering this work ethic within myself, etc. One of those people who I was again doing that with, while at the same time I'm discovering self, and so there's this internal conflict going on between who I was, and who I eventually would become. And so with that, the people who are on this boat are the boat's rocking. They're feeling neglected, because the captain's busy focused on steering the ship. I'm not asking if the passengers are okay, um, and because of that, she actually ends up whatever, doing whatever. And I step back, because I didn't expect that at all. and this was also another 4 month type time frame, or whatever the case. And I suppose I just took a deep breath in, because again, although this wasn't anything serious at that time, I just never expected that from that person. And so you begin to question your own judgment of human beings, as a whole, etc. Trust a little less, stuff like that. And I do believe it was from then, well, not exactly. There was still one more passenger left on the boat, but even that one was because of my own, sorry about that, because of my own terrible habits that I hadn't yet dropped. That's the only reason why that passenger was still there. Eventually I dropped that habit, and I tell myself that I'm just gonna be with me, and I'm just gonna focus on this. Do you remember it was this tug of war, and I'm finding this work ethic, and I'm discovering who I am, and I'm but at the same time I keep dipping the toe back. And it was at that moment when the last one is dropped. And the last one I dropped deliberately. Like the rest just fell off, kind of, just, like through situations like that, where something happened, or they just feel neglected, they just, you know, bugger off. This one, the second last one was one I kind of felt something for, and it hurt because I have this rule, bro. If as soon as you're into someone else, I just cut you off emotionally. I can't. So boom, that's what I did to the long term girl after I found out that 4 months later she had been in like a situation, had to cut her off. It happens again. I'm like, wow, yeah, man, it hurt. Have to cut her off. And then this last one is when I'm actually discovering all of this, and it's the emotional waves are storming me, and I'm just not understanding, and I just need time to myself. So I just say, I'm sorry. I need that time to myself. Cool. And then it's just me. So that's one pin. That's the relationship side. So obviously that was about my professional side. Professionally, thought I was gonna be an athlete. What I was gonna be an athlete. Okay. I was gonna be a professional athlete up until I decided that what it would cost me in terms of what I would not be able to become was too high, and I didn't want to pay that cost. And so I dropped that, and I discovered things that I'm interested in. Cool, I'm going that direction. Even right now, I'm happy. There's a long 2025 ahead of us, so we'll see what that brings. But I'm happy. I'm committed. I'm in the cut. I'm in the race, and I'm enjoying myself. So professionally, we're doing decent. Physically, we're in shape. We're decent. All that's cool. It's romantically, and there's something else that I wanted to touch on as well. But yeah, let's touch on this romantic side quickly. Hopefully the other one will come back to me. Yeah, romantically, like I said, okay, or I'll be completely honest with you. When that long term one ended in that fashion, it honestly wrecked me. Not because of what happened and whatnot, but just that human being, and who that person was, like how strong they were, etc., what they had to go through. It shifted my whole perspective on the world and life and religion, bro. Because bro, just a lot. When you get to that point where you ask God, like, why did he like, how does God let sin exist? Because wow, it was literally, it was that, bro. It was that. And so that wrecked me. And then obviously I dived back into old habits just to mask the pain, numb the pain with the whatever you can call it. And then my pain numbers caused more pain. And then I was just with myself. And so the scary thing is the uncertainty, wanting to reintroduce self to intimacy, wanting to go back into, obviously, like, situations, man, and go back into the dating, because obviously we're not going to be alone for the rest of our lives. We need to get out there and do stuff. But the issue for me, at very least, becomes, at what point is who I am now, does who I am now begin, and at what point does the storyteller end? You know, and how do I go back into it? You know, how do I do that? How do I begin to do that without, again, because the only way that I know how to play the game is the way that I played the game. And so, do I play the exact same game without the intimacy? Do I only speak to, and then at what point do I know I'm strong enough to not fall into bad, to not fall back into bad habits? It's a whole interesting thing and dynamic. It's probably going to be unfolding all throughout 2025, and going to be taking you guys on the journey, along with me. But yeah, ultimately, another thing that scares me slash bothers me is if I won't, again, and when we never know, is if I won't get bored eventually, because that's something else that I find about myself, is I find that I just get not bored of things easily, but in this journey of self-discovery, you will find yourself hopping from thing to thing, trying to discover what exactly works for you, or what exactly your thing is, or what you love, or whatever the case is. And when I was an athlete, I was fully an athlete around the clock, you know. It's all I wanted to talk about: eat, sleep, be an athlete. Everything else was just, it just felt like a distraction to me. And that's just the way I'm wired. That's just the way I'm built. And the fact that I don't even pick up a rugby ball anymore is, like, I have one, right? But I don't go out and just pass it around, or just pass it with my little brother or whatever. Um, don't really watch rugby. I'm not super interested in watching rugby, like, continuously. And obviously, it's a positive thing because it means that I don't have attachment issues, but concerns me because I may have detachment. Like, I may have, like, how can I say? Okay, so it concerns me because it's like, damn, how do I know that I'm not gonna behave the same when it comes to this? How do I know I'm not gonna get bored of this? And, well, I guess the counter argument to myself is I didn't really get bored of rugby. I just made a logical decision, not to do it anymore. So, fair enough, Sage. But yeah, I feel too. I think I think that's about it, man. In terms of identity, just to wrap, it is a game of whatever you do. Whatever you do, you become. It's what your thoughts, they become your words. What's your words, they become your actions. What's your actions, they become your future, ultimately, at the end of the day. And it's being very intentional and deliberate about exactly who you're being during each day, who you're crafting during each day, who you're becoming. And I think that's a very, very important thing to be aware of at all times, is who you are being. Like, who am I being right now? What am I doing, and what does that say about who I am? I think that question was a very, very big catalyst in me shifting identities. The last thing I wanted to touch on was, I think, my relationship with the party lifestyle and this, that, and the third. Never been a big club guy. The club just seemed pointless to me. Um, I'll explain. If I want to hang out with the boys and drink, I'll hang out with the boys and drink. If I want to chase tail, I'll chase tail. Why are we conflating the two? Because ultimately we end up not getting either of our objectives completed. Like if we go there, if you chase two rabbits, you'll lose them both. So I feel like that's what we were doing, was chasing two rabbits, because then you end up not drunk enough because you were busy looking for girls, but you didn't get the girls because you were trying to get, you know what I'm saying? And then we just go home, like, just lost and confused. Also, we go to the club and we want the club not too not too empty, because then there's no vibe, but not too full, because then this place is packed. Like, we're looking for something in the middle, and like there's just no game plan. There's no objective. There's no you know. So yeah, never been a big club guy. Um, Nearing the end of last year, same thing I did with the intimacy, and that's why it reminded me of it. Cut it off, just cut it off completely and told myself, nah, I'm not drinking anymore from a certain point forward. Did open the tap back up again during this December, but that's because it was with family, strictly with family. It's just cousins of mine, just chilling, drinking. I think the reason why I don't feel as much of an obligation to friendships, maybe I will as I grow older, perhaps I will, hopefully I will, even, I would say, as I grow older, is because I don't have that deep of an attachment to friends, simply because I've moved around a lot in my life. I've lived all over the show, gone to a couple of different, no, couple, gone to a bunch of different schools, um, and so for me, friends are something that's very, very finite. Come and go. There are some older friends that I do have, and I'm sure I would bend such rules with them, and hopefully with the ones that I have now in future, I will bend rules for them. And it's not necessarily a time spent thing, but it is something that I'm aware of. And again, depending on the timing, I really do feel like, even at my, like, the friend's 21st that I went to, I would have perhaps afterwards, if we had gone to like an after party setting or gone to someone's house, if we had chilled, then I probably would have drank something, even though I was still in that beginning stages of saying, nah, I don't drink, not even on special occasion. I don't care, I just don't drink right now. Now it's kind of shifting. I'm kind of beginning to understand, because it's a part of discovering who I am. It's a part of this whole identity concept, identity talk that I'm talking about right now, which is, I'm still deciding who I am and what my relationship with alcohol is. You know, I know what it's not. Again, the bottom of a bottle is always dry. I know I'm not the drink every day. I'm not the drink every week, drink every month type of guy. Uh, really, on ultra special occasions, I'll chill. Not even necessarily special occasions, but when I'm with special people, because I think of alcohol in the very traditional sense, and of course it's a question of cultural habit, I suppose, not necessarily a question of purpose, but just a question of, all throughout history, in my mind, it was just used to enhance a certain state, and you want to be around certain people when you're in that state, that you want in that state with you. That's all I think of it as. um and therefore, it's not really a on occasion thing. It depends on so much, depends on the timing, etc. um and so, in those times, I will have a relationship. Yeah, ultimately, there's one thing you take away from this. It is that it's not who you think you are or who you say you are, but what you do that determines who you actually are. Because you can think all you want. You can think, nah, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. And you're doing it. So who are you? You know, you can say, oh, bro, me, live in the grind, do the grind, am grinding. But your value system says, you're not setting alarm clocks. Your value system says you're not reading. Your value system says you're not working out. Because when the football game is on, oh, now all of a sudden working out doesn't matter. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It's who, like, it's what you do that determines who you are. And be very intentional and deliberate. Like I said last year, the words of the year are intentional and deliberate. Be very conscious, intentional, and deliberate of the way you live life, because life is not promised to anyone. And rest in peace to the fallen soldiers that we lost during last year. I know in South Africa, plenty of car accidents. Um, yeah, I know lots of us lost a lot of good people, and so rest in peace to them. Be very intentional and deliberate with how you live life. Be conscious and aware of who you are and who you're being, who you want to be, and do things that are in line with becoming that person. I'm back until further notice, and I will notice you further whenever it becomes necessary to do so. But for the time being, thank you for watching. Welcome to 2025. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I have been Sage, signing out.